I just want to pick up on what you said about kids picking up from you and sort of mirroring your behaviour, because I think that's particularly relevant when we're travelling. Lots of people will be looking forward to or potentially dreading their summer vacation.
Yes.
Because it's the time when people are going to go on flights, trains, long car journeys. Is that a nightmare or is it potentially an adventure?
I couldn't even comprehend getting on a plane with my son Kit at the moment. It would just...
He's how old?
He's 18 months, he walked at 9 months. I wouldn't wish that on his soul.
I love
literally
him.
Just been on the go. But in car, so we do a lot of car journeys back to family members and what have you. And we do a lot of, we listen to loads of music. So my kids, you know, they love Mickey and the Roadster races, so they always see it as like an adventure and listening to music.
We have to see what cars we've seen, because mine are the same. They want to know like who's got the purple car, who's got Mickey's car, who's got...
And then there's a fight over which.
Yeah, who gets to be which racer.
But so they kind of see it as an adventure. But we do a lot of audiobooks in the car. I found them to be really, really good, actually. Just... it always captivates Lola and she wants to listen to a story.
But planes are off the table for the time being.
I couldn't even... I don't know how I would... I did
a 9-hour flight with my 17-month-old and my 3-year-old last year. I don't want to put anyone off because I really want to encourage people to travel, but we got on the plane and my youngest threw up everywhere. My husband was delighted to discover that his and my eldest son's seats were 4 rows back. So he was like, see you, babe, I'll just catch you in 9 hours. What if you are going on a plane? What should we be doing?
Well, I've written a load of articles around all of that. Public transport, planes, boats and all the rest of it.
I love a bus.
Yeah,
they love a bus.
And they're doing a tram and all that stuff. Yeah. Planning is the secret to all of this, because I took my son, he was very tiny, in the little carry tot to a wedding in Ireland, and he was absolutely fine. Again, if you're tense and if you're anxious, boy, is it going to come across. You couldn't help with the throwing up thing, but you know, planning ahead, bringing a little rucksack that they've planned, toys that you haven't. I used to rotate them. You don't keep buying new ones, but I used to put them in a box, and if Will and Moore hadn't seen them for a while, they'd think, oh, isn't this lovely? So out came the crayons and out came the colouring, out came a little bit of this. Now you've got tablets and technology. I like it in balance. I don't ban it, but on the other hand, isn't it ideal for a plane journey? You can load up some of the lovely Disney things that you like that are appropriate, so that the kids, then you can relax and they can relax, and you take it down. And they will get a little bit fractious. Try and travel when you think they might sleep is another good idea. We went to South Africa when they were quite young, and they slept. The flight was a 12-hour thing, but they actually slept most of the way, so that was quite good.
And a lot of airports now have soft play in them.
Yes, they do, don't
so
they? Yeah.
We get there really, really early, let the kids go wild in soft play, run off a bit of steam so that when they get on the plane... But it's funny you say that. So my husband takes a tablet with a load of stuff downloaded from Disney, so my eldest sits next to him and watches it. I take a bag of crayons and balls and figurines and...
You've got a lovely balance, though, haven't you, there? You've got a mixture. Or is that just for you to do?
I'll tell you what, Sue, I've got a 1-year-old scrabbling underneath all the chairs for all his stuff that he can't find.
But it is planning, and it is sort of breaking it up a bit, and I know it's a small thing, but even going up to the toilet takes a bit of time, doesn't it, and passes the time.
But children are so different. Like what I could have done with Lola, I mean, she would have sat... I got a bag and filled it with sort of little things and figurines, and she loved it. She spent the whole journey. I remember I was pregnant with Kit, and she must have been, 1 or so, and she would just take them in and out of the bag, in and out, and she was quite happy. But Kit, he's so physical, and I think I'm more nervous about the other passengers upsetting or causing which I know you shouldn't, but
there's nothing worse though than a child kicking the back of your seat, which I had fairly recently.
My son likes to stand up on his seat, turn around and
go peekaboo.
No, he shouts to everyone, "We're flying! We're flying!" And it depends. If you're on a summer flight to Malaga, everyone's happy about that.
About 12 hours.
If you're on a Monday morning flight to Exeter, the businessmen not so happy. So I think do pick your flights, but definitely have a run around in the airport. See, mine love a train. I did once sit down on a train and the lady opposite me said, I booked these first class tickets because I didn't think I'd be near children.
Oh, no. We don't need that attitude to people. What's the matter with people?
Well, I had loads of magazines and they played, but what I find good on a train is when they do get a bit bored, because they're kids, you can get up on a train and take them to the corridor.
Yes. Yeah. And what I love, and what I find sad sometimes when I'm on the tube as well, is mum is just on the phone herself or dad, and they're not interacting. And I remember a little boy looking at Battersea Power Station, dying to talk to his mum or something about what he was looking at, and she went, yeah. And I thought, these are magic moments that she is missing. All this language development, from my point of view, all these wonderful memories that you can build that last a lifetime, all that connection with your child, it's a magical world if you start looking out there and chatting with them. You can engage them, even when you're in supermarkets, and let's change the subject a bit. I used to get Will weighing out the bananas. Make it an adventure. If you're relaxed and you use the opportunity, they start to relax too. As soon as you tense up and get all anxious, everybody loses.
But again, I completely agree. If I'm giving my son an activity or a task or whatever, he's in and he'll behave and he can be an angel. He can be the opposite of an angel, and I find that's when I've got the pair of them in the supermarket. Yeah. The 1-year-old and the 3-year-olds. That's when they play bash with the eggs.
And you see, I'm a great believer in being practical. Is there nobody else you could leave them with for half an hour while you nip in and do that job? Because sometimes you just dread doing that sort of job. Whereas it's better actually to go, I'm going to go on a Sunday at 3 or something when someone's looking after, they're playing football in the garden or something, then I'll go and do it. So sometimes it's just planning, and it's also knowing your characters of your children, because they're all different, aren't they? Like you said, one child is calmer.
And that's what throws you when you're used to one.
Yes.
A certain pattern in a certain way, and then you have another child that's totally different, obviously, but it can throw you.
No, it can, of course it can.
And I think probably going from girl to boy, I do think boys and girls are different.
Well, boys certainly when they're younger are far more physical, up and want to run about and play with all the sorts of stuff and jump on, the settee and all that sort of stuff. When I was even teaching, boys are physical. You've got to get up and get round, and you can get outside in the playground and play games sometimes with maths, and they will engage in that and be, really on point with it. So you've got to break up your activities, you've got to know your kids, and they can be different.